Alright, welcome everybody. This is the next name of our spooky Octoberthon. We had to kind of ditch a couple days because of some problematic stuff, but we're kicking it off again. Long day at work, and I think I was gonna cool down with a rather shorter but very, very interesting game. One of a kind, I would say. This game is called D. It is a very early release for the PlayStation 1. It was released by Acclaim through Warp Games. And this is way too loud for me, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that down a little bit. So as you can see, we're kind of getting a rundown of the basic storyline of the game. Basically, this doctor goes super nuts and starts killing lots and lots of people all over the hospital. And you're basically play as Laura, who's his daughter, and you're sent in to try and negotiate with the doctor or see if you can bring an end to this killing spree. So I'll let you kind of figure out the rest of this. So let's kind of talk a little bit about what D is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cut out this part, because this part of the game is actually a spoiler. So, what is D? Well, D is a lot like a first-person FMV game that you would see on PCs at the time, but this is on the PlayStation. It is shot entirely in FMV. You might see that my capture is a little bit screwed up, but that's kind of on purpose. D actually runs at 2 resolutions, but it runs at 1 resolution vastly more than the other. And basically, I couldn't find a great way to capture both resolutions in a timely manner, so you get to see half a D here. Give them half the D. But yeah, very, very unique game. The interface is extremely simple, and I'll kind of get into that, but first we'll start up the game. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get this to play and capture correctly on my PlayStation for some reason. Actually, my PlayStation 1 is completely dead. My PlayStation 2 had real problems running the game. So I'm having to run this through an emulator. So it might be quite a bit stuttery. We might get some visual or audio glitches. Actually, the biggest glitch I'm kind of cropping out as a result of this, but we're beyond that. So Laura goes into the hospital. Everybody's super dead, and this is just the basic setup to the game. I'll try to show off as much content as I can remember. But honestly, this is a very, very short game. It runs over 3 discs. But most of these, like, the vast, vast majority of these discs are FMV sequences, so they take up a lot of space. I'm actually going to turn up a tiny bit more. So you can see, while this stuff hasn't aged that well graphically, the tracks that they did decide to pick were particularly good, and they fit well with the CD audio. And this is your basic interface for the game, so very small. This actually came out for a number of systems, including the 3DO and the Sega Saturn. And PlayStation was actually probably one of the versions that that Warp was least impressed by, let's say. That's why they went on to go to Saturn for games like Enemy Zero and D2 on the Dreamcast. Alright, so the basics of this game, you have left and right, which kind of change your perspective. Up and down make you move forward and back. And you have, some buttons to go ahead and interact with your environment. It should be noted that this game is very much on rails, so you can only go to certain places. Like, I can't freely explore this environment, and that's just due to limitations to this type of gameplay style. So real quick, I'm going to turn around on the chance that I'm going to trigger an event here real quick. And we actually got some good RNG for the purpose of a casual playthrough. Alright. So, yeah, Laura's pretty nuts. And you notice that we get those bugs. Those bugs initiate certain flashbacks in the game, and as far as I can tell, they are actually random when they occur. So, yeah. You can find them in different places, depending on where you're at. So, L1 and R1, shift through your inventory. So your clock, it's kind of bugged right now, I guess, due to this, or due to the way that I'm doing this. But basically, you only have, I believe, 2 hours in order to complete this game, maybe 2.5. If you don't do it, that is one of the very, very few ways to game over in this game. The other thing you have is a pocket mirror, which I guess I could look at real quick. So what the pocket mirror does is it will show you basically a clue as to what you should be doing next. So it shows me some drawers. But here's the thing, you can't use this to crutch on because it cracks a little bit every time. And oh man, did we get a nice graphical glitch there? Okay, good, it cleared up. That's good. So we're not going to be doing that again, obviously. So pushing that this game really does, like, it is played outside the confines of reality. You notice we went through a portal inside of the hospital. Can't go through these doors. And that's further cementing this type of railroad status that we're on. So this is all happening on its own. And right now I've gained control again. So I'm going to actually go left. I can't go forward. It wouldn't let me. And I'm going to move forward here. And this just makes me go on rails up to here. So I have a pretty good idea of where to go inside of this game, so we should be able to get through this relatively quickly as long as we don't crash like crazy, which is very possible. So we can go over here and we can look at this bowl of watery stuff. And, we can interact with it, and by interacting, spoopy blood. Alright. So nothing really happening with the spookiness. So we'll kind of continue on here.
Laura. 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 your father. Laura, go back. You must not cross over to this side. This is another world born of my own mind. Laura, go back. Come further and your world will be closed off from you. Laura, I'm...
And hopefully the audio's coming in okay for you guys. Over in homie homeland. So we go ahead and do that. I'm actually going to try to go backwards here, because I'm wondering if that was the trigger to be able to see that. I know that that door is locked, so I'm not even going to try to go to it right now. Alright, we don't know what to do yet, so we're going to back out of here. So, one of the things that can be really frustrating your first time playing this game is actually not knowing what you can interact with and what you can't. That is an obvious problem that I see with this game. We're actually going to see if we can boost the brightness just a tiny bit as well. This is a dark game, but it's not supposed to be impossibly dark. So we're going to go inside of here. And let's see what's happening over here on our left. So spooky, spooky shit. Let's not get closer to that mirror then. Hey, this place looks nice. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, I guess we aren't going this way. So as you can see, while the areas do look very open, they are actually quite unopen, for lack of a better term. So really our only option at this point is just to go upstairs. And we'll see what's happening there. So as you can see, very, very interesting, very simple interface, very simple controls. I mentioned that the game has a 2.5-hour time limit, which may seem like it's a short amount of time, but it's actually not. While this game is very, very short, it is also one of the interesting features of it is that because it is so short, and because of its time that it came out, it actually has no saving function, which is an interesting idea. Like, when you're playing through this game, you're constantly hoping that you can save so that you don't get killed by something, but as I mentioned, there's actually very, very few things that can cause a game over state in this game, and the game's not too hard to go through. Honestly, I've put this on multiple kind of speedrunning lists as a joke, because you could easily get through it in 30 minutes or less if you know what to do and what the codes are. So yeah, that guy's super dead. And he looks like he's been there a while. So that's a dead end. I know to the right there's nothing, so we'll just go inside of here instead. So we can go ahead and go over here. Let's go ahead and pick up this key. So yeah, no saves, short game, 3 discs, which is kind of funny. Tons of FMV. Again, this is when you'll find that the first like 1 or 2 years that a system comes out, during the lifespan of like the Genesis and the PlayStation, basically the 16, 32-bit era, and once you pushed into PS2 era, the early games are some of the most interesting things. It is pretty incredible, the types of games that people really pushed to see what the medium had in store and what they could do with the hardware, and the storage space in particular. You know, coming over from the SNES to the PlayStation, you got this enormous increase in capacity for storage, and that's what allows games like this to exist, which were previously only in the realm of, you know, basically computers. Now we come over to the drawers. So let's see what we got with these drawers, right? We'll look at the first drawer. Oh, it's a piece of paper. I mean, I guess that's a start, but there's a lot of drawers here, so, I mean, there could be anything in here. Once again, I apologize for the visual glitches and sometimes audio glitches. There's not really anything I can do about that. It's just a function of having to do the emulator. Hopefully I'll get to play this game again at some point on, like, hardware that, or on hardware that works with it, but I couldn't get it to work with my PS2, and my PS1 is basically fried, I think, now. I'll have to open it up and see if I can resurrect it. So in 5 drawers, we only found a note, which seems kind of quizzical when you have 5 drawers and only one of them does something. But let's not mind that. Let's just let's move on. So the note was actually the next piece of the puzzle that I needed. You need to soak it inside the water in the bowl to be able to reveal an answer. So, I mean, I can't say that these graphics have aged that well at all, especially when you look at its contemporaries when talking about 3D environments and things of that nature. Or the idea of using pre-rendered graphics and just using that as the baseline rather than fully 3D rendered stuff. But, you know, it's you don't need the best graphics. It's about gameplay, atmosphere, all these things, and that's where I think this game really excels. It's also simple enough that once you know how the game works, you can usually find out what to do very soon. So it reveals 4-2. So without getting, to kind of speed it up a little bit, basically what that's saying is you need to open drawer 4 and then drawer 2. and then something special happens. Which sounds absurd, but once again, it's established very early on in the game that this is based outside of reality, some side of separate region, a different universe. A world of the mind. But, you know, you might spend some time, like, looking into drawer 2 and then drawer 4, or, like, opening them multiple times or something like that. But most of the time you find out very quickly that you need to do one and then the other. Not a big deal. But if you actually knew this combination, it is noteworthy that you could just come straight to these drawers and instantly do the puzzle. But I'm trying to show off the game, not just take the most direct route to do everything. We get a nice little cranky crank. Which on its own doesn't seem like it'll do much. We still gotta deal with that enormous wall of spikes, so maybe... Well, we got that key, so maybe we can open up a path to the other place inside of this floor. Let's give that a shot. We'll make our way over there very slowly. And we use our L1, R1 buttons to navigate our inventory and use our key. And sure enough, it is indeed the correct key. Not doing too good there, huh, buddy? Yeah, you don't look like you're doing so hot. But his arm's kind of trapped in a wall, seemingly. So, as per games of this nature, it is very, very stiff when you're talking about controlling this on-the-rails section. Like, when I was walked up close to him, I couldn't move left or right to turn around. I had to press back to back up. Which, again, not a terrible thing, especially since this game is fairly short, but it's something you keep in mind, and it is a failing of the interface. Like, I have to walk towards that corner to walk around and look at this. If I had turned right, I would have turned all the way around to the door, which is pretty absurd. So now we know that we have a little box that we can deal with, but there's not really much that we can do as far as that's concerned. So, knowing that there's a box here, I'm just going to go ahead and make my way over and see what we can do about that spiked wall, maybe. So I doubt whatever's in that small box is going to be sufficient to be able to stop that huge wall of death from hitting us. But yeah, just like looking at everything, they really tried to, or Warp Games really tried to push a very interactive and different experience than typical horror of the time. we'll go over here, and sure enough, there's a tap that looks like it has a hexagonal crank mark. So let's see what happens when we crank this. First rule of horror or survival horror games, there's gonna be cranks. And you gotta crank that shit. Alright, and looks like we did a good. So we're gonna make our way over here. And we find a door leading further down into whatever this castle or mansion, whatever it is. It's 7-8. So, we don't really know what 7-8 is now. We will very soon. So let's go ahead and make our way back to that one room. We've once again hit a brick wall, so let's see if we can knock down more walls. Whoops. Turned a little too early. Thought I had to go one more. I'd say this is another thing that's kind of funny about this game, is every time you go into the spooky place, it plays the same soundbite, even though you're probably not going to get spooked by it a second time. But to each their own. Alright, so now we come to the number box, as I like to call it, and since we now know that the code's going to be 7-8, what you need to do is basically pull this crank in such a way that you get 7 and 8. However, when I pull this, you're going to notice that this one doesn't stop nearly as fast. And it will actually count down from the number that is on the left, or rather count up. So it's important to try and keep that in mind when you're pulling these cranks. Alright. So knowing that it's going to be 7, and it's also going to travel about 3, I think. I need to pull at 5, I think it is. There we go. Oh, wait. Oh, that was dumb. Okay, so 6. So 6 would be 5, which would give me 2, yeah. Dang, missed it by 1. go. So now I need to get a 1, which means I pull at 4. Dang, that was way, way wrong. Dang! So this is kind of one of the frustrating parts, is I know mechanically what I need to do, but because of how this game accepts inputs, it's kind of difficult to make it work. Dang. Totally off. There we go. Dang. Just missing it by 1 every single time. Frustrating. Really need to get this done fairly soon as well. Well, there's 8. Let's see if we can get a 7 now. Nice. There we go. So like I say, I'm not in the best shape, but at the same time, somehow got through that wall and into that box. So, I don't know. I guess good for him? Really glad I was able to tinker with this a little bit. I did a real quick test run to make sure everything was running relatively smoothly before I started this. Glad I did, because that spinning puzzle was basically impossible at the frame rate that it was running at before. It was just running way too jittery to be able to appropriately get the numbers I needed. So now that we've made our way through this spooky area, we will have to see what happens in the next area, right? So coming up, we're going to get to see just how short this game really is. Like I mentioned, 3 discs, but I also said that it's, you have, or you can beat the game easily in less than 2 hours. I believe the first time I played this game, I beat it in about an hour, maybe an hour 10. Well, I guess we're stuck down here now. And boom. Okay, that's weird. So it's supposed to be prompting me to get disc 2, but it is not. Okay, do not crash, please. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and see about changing discs here. And this was one of the main problems that I had with the majority of emulators that I was trying before, was switching discs didn't really work. Alright, we managed to get... We get it. We did it, boys. So normally it would say insert disc 2, but it didn't for some reason, so, yeah. That's all I can really say about that. So now we're in the next area. This one I am much less familiar with, so we're going to have to kind of stumble our way through it. So let's see what's happening with this desk. Yeah, shit's locked. Alright. Okay, we know that we can't go into there. So let's see if there's anything in this area. So the only thing I can do is turn these, basically. But no real reason as to what I need to do, necessarily. So we're actually going to back out of that. Let's try turning around. See what we can find. Huh. So there's something at the top of the screen. Like maybe a clock, but I can't really get to it right now, so... We also have a painting up there, so let's see what the painting has in store for us. Okay, what is that again? Rooster, deer, horse. Okay, rooster, horse, deer, going from the left. Oh man, here's where we get in... Okay. I was gonna say, here's where we get to the silly shit. So I had to walk like left, right, and left again so that I could go ahead and look at this thing. Once again, just really, really awkward stuff. Okay, rooster, horse, deer. Now let's go ahead and try that desk, maybe. Maybe now shit's unlocked. Oh, shit is still definitely locked. Can we use the key? No, we cannot. Can I move left from here? No. Okay. I wanted to see if I could look at the other desk, perhaps. Can we do have that set up? I'm gonna look at spooky painting again. Mr. Bunny Deer. Yep. Did the door unlock, maybe? It does appear like that's probably the thing that did it. Yep. Alright. Next area. Okay. So let's get an idea of what this door has in store for us, shall we? Okay, this was a bad door. This was a bad place to come into. I realize this now. So here's one of the things. So it may seem like this game's very dull, just in general, from what I've been giving as an analysis of it. But it really isn't. There's a huge sense of foreboding atmosphere in it, especially the first time that you play the game. And in addition to that, the genius of this game really lies in its limitations in exploration, which sounds counterintuitive at first. You know, like, why would limiting your ability to move around an environment be productive to you? Like, why would it encourage a feeling of atmosphere and horror? Well, it makes things frustrating. I will agree to that. But more than that, it forces you to commit. So, this was mentioned by Derek Alexander in his video, but one of the genius parts of D is that in traditional survival horror games, like Silent Hill or Resident Evil or Alone in the Dark, you can kind of pace yourself into areas, you know, kind of like walk or run or look around a corner and then immediately turn around and run away if you need to. This game is very slow and deliberately so, and very clunky. Like, every time that you walk around, you deliberately know that you're going into a place that you don't want to be at, and you have very little control or ability to flee from something that is dangerous or scary to you. So there's no longer this kind of pussyfooting around going, you know, like back and forth. Can I go safely? It's you're in or you're out of a room. One or the two. Or one or the other. And if you're in, then Laura's walking all the way in that room. And if you're out, well, then you're never going to find out what you need to do in the next area. And you're just going to be too spooked and probably dead. Because why wouldn't you go in the next area to get spooked more? So we get a book, and right now we can't we don't know too much about what we're going to do with this book, but I'm pretty sure this is actually going to speed things up slightly. Okay, wait, I don't want to go this way. I want to go forward first and then left. There we go. Alright, so, yeah, let's go ahead and look around this room, shall we? Well, maybe we have to move forward a little bit first. Kind of curious if we can look at this painting at all, this big wall mural. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to give us a great view of it from this angle. So we get some nice heads here. Yeah, still not giving us really the option to that. And you notice it just scrolls right over the bookcase, which is kind of frustrating.
Laura. 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 Laura.
Dad, why you be spooking me?
Laura. What are you doing? Go back. Now. Laura, you can't stop me. Leave the hospital. Quickly. If you do not, you'll never be able to return to your own world. Do you understand, Laura? Quickly!
Super spooked. Especially with that transition from there to not there. So in addition, you might think, like, if this is a very puzzle-based and atmospheric game, what's the use in playing it again and again? Like, doesn't it lose its replayability instantly the minute you beat it? To some extent, yes. But I would argue that, as Derek Alexander did, it's very much, think of it like a movie, because that's really what it is more of an interactive movie than anything else. And with an interactive movie, or any movie in general, let's put it that way, you don't necessarily watch the same movie over and over like every month, but you might watch a movie once a year, especially for, say, Spooky Halloween, or something of that nature. So it's very much one of those type of annual games. You'll pick it up, like, once a year, or maybe like when you want to show off a friend a really interesting or odd type of game selection. It's great for those types of things. Alright, so as you can see, these kind of scarab beetles are kind of scattered throughout, and they sort of reveal more and more of the story as you go on. So that's why it's kind of a big deal to find them as you play the game casually. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, I am probably going to use a walkthrough for this section, because this section is extremely frustrating. So this is where this kind of pre-canned FMV cut sequence with very limited movement really kicks you in the dick, is the rotating room. So yeah. Alright. So I'm trying to think about how I want to tackle this. Let's go ahead and just make our way through each of these kind of puzzle rooms to begin with. And the reason why I want to do this is, like I said, this game can get very, very slow in this area just because of how the game takes forever to load up new sections. So, again, very atmospheric, but this is the downside to this atmospheric nature. So that's one turn. Two turns. And three turns. So, just to throw this out to you, so basically this room is set up like a clock with 12 sections. And in order to get to each different section, you have to turn that lever once for every single time. And as you can imagine, you can't go back with this lever. Like, if you miss by one, guess what? You're cranking that thing a whole 11 times more because you can't go back the other way. So extremely frustrating to miss one of the sections or to have to keep returning to this room because you don't know what to do at a given time. Well, hey, you got a treasure chest, right? Oh. Alright, well, since that's a Zelda trap, we're not gonna get that right now. I think I'm good not getting that treasure chest. Let's see what else we can do here.
Laura. 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 Soon I will no longer be the man you know. I can feel my control slipping away. Quickly, before that happens, you must leave here. I want you, of all people, to be safe from me. Laura, there's nothing I can...
Fuck you, Dad. I'm still going. So we're gonna pull this one, two more times. Time to go to the outdoor garden. Alright, we're gonna walk around a tiny bit here. So what we have here is we have a door. And of course, when you go up to said door, guess what? Shit's locked. Even fingering it seems to elicit no response. And we go over here. And I'm not going to initiate this puzzle. We don't have the answer for this puzzle. It's the fountain puzzle. But more importantly than that, I've actually softlocked this game, and I have no idea how. By entering the input for the puzzle. And once I entered the input for the puzzle, it, yeah. Just completely locked up and wouldn't let me get out to find the solution. So, pretty bad. Pretty bad. But, I don't know. It could have been an issue with the emulation that I was using at the time or any number of other things. Regardless, for now, we are not going to be able to do anything in here. So we're just going to back out. We're going to back out like huge big cowards. And just go back to our spinning room. It's a very nice stained glass window you got there. So we got our stained glass window there. So now get back to cranking, fuckers, because we're going to fucking room 10. So there's 7. There's 8. Here's 9. Here's 10. So luckily I just discovered that you can go ahead and stop it from, like, swinging back into position. So that saves a little bit of time. Oh man. I hope that did just destroy everything, though. So, interesting sequence coming up here. With a game like this, you guys will find out. I would assume that you guys didn't expect this in a game like this. And I sure as hell didn't expect it to be implemented this badly, because, yeah. Did you catch that, guys? Did you catch how it gave me that ridiculous split second to hit left? Yeah, yeah, that's how we do it in this game. And yeah, not only is that really, really fast for a QTE, but this is not the game to read inputs well. So, yeah. That time I clearly pressed left, and it didn't even care. So, let's see. I remember there was some type of trick to this, but I don't remember exactly how it worked. So, let's hope for the best, shall we? So yeah, that was cool. So now that I missed the last prompt, I get to do all those all over again. Can you tell that this is probably my least favorite section of the whole game? Luckily, they are the same inputs every single time. You'll get fucked, boy. Now we get a sweet sword. Now we can fight off other monsters, right? That's what the sword's for. No, we don't need the sword to fight off monsters. We need it to get a weapon upgrade, is what we need. Now, for the sake of saving time, I can tell you that the Knight's Sword cannot break the stained glass. That'd be far too easy and make far too much sense. But once again, you know, not reality. Fuck you, that's how it works. Okay, so this is gonna be... This is 11. This is 0. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. And this is 5. So we're going back to the Undergarden garden. I guess it's the outdoor garden, not underground. What am I talking about? And so our finger didn't elicit much response from the hole, but perhaps sticking a sword in the hole is what is desired. Some sort of Freudian phallic symbolism. Oh man, did I walk too far? Damn. I indeed walked too far. Screwed up, boys. Let's walk towards the corner, because that's how I would walk in order to go around this circular object. Well, going up here, it looks like an observatory. So I guess we can kind of see what's happening. What are we looking at out there? Looking at nothing. Oh, there we go. Looking at something. Alright, well that doesn't tell us much right now, but let's see what's happening with this other item right next to us. You know, there were a couple statues over there, and now that I think about it, the two statues, like, how would I put it? Okay, so the two statues looked like particular things. One of them was a centaur, which, as we can see here, it looks like these are referring to different signs of the zodiac on this pull switch puzzle thing. So I'm guessing if I was to go to Sagittarius, which, you know, Centaur, Sagittarius, probably find out the answer. And then the other one was a woman that was pouring what looked like a jug of water, which is Aquarius, I'm guessing. Alright, so is Sagittarius. I think that's Sagittarius, I want to say. Arrow. Okay, green. Alright, let's go ahead and... I think that's Aquarius. So we got green and light blue. Hmm. Alright, so as I mentioned, we got a centaur, which is supposed to be Sagittarius, which was like a green, like a fluorescent green, and then the other one, which is a woman pouring water, which I think is Aquarius. But I guess we'll find out if I am right or wrong pretty soon. Oops. Oh man, this is the tech that we need in our new games. A finger that points terribly. Like, I can't even do diagonals. I have to do just up and down. And this was before analog sticks, so... Okay, so here's the problem. I don't know how I'm supposed to back out of this. Please no soft lockerino. Hmm. Oh man, boys. We might be done. I know I'm only supposed to press like one button. The question is how the hell do I back out of this puzzle now that I'm done with it? None of the buttons are working. Alright, I guess we're looking it up. The problem with looking up a game called D is, yeah, you're gonna get a billion results. Oh, man. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid. This game was clearly designed for the Kinect. This would never happen if I was the controller. Yeah, all I'm getting is a bunch of Silent Hill stuff and a little bit of D. I'm even using its Japanese name, which is a little bit more expansive. Hmm. Alright, what can we do here? Circle's confirmed, there's toggle. I mean, X is usually your cancel function. Hopefully this works. Did it? Oh, okay, it looks like Talik already unbanned him. Yeah, sorry about that, Snow. Can't really have links to shit. Unfortunately. Hopefully you are able to type. I suppose I'll find out soon enough if you are or not. Because you will have typed something or not. Holy crap, how do we get out of this puzzle? If it's the GameFAQs one, I've had it open. It's not telling me anything. Wait, I have an idea. There we go. Okay, we did it, boys. I figured it out. Alright, mission accomplished. So, what you need to do is you need to pull your finger off of the screen. Because that makes tons of sense when they've established that there is indeed a cancel button when you press X. But we did it. We're moving on. So, blue. I just didn't move my hand forcefully enough. Alright, so we're back on track. And honestly, we're getting close to rolling up the second disc of this game and moving on to disc 3. And honestly, that disc has actually a pretty rough start as well. But we'll see what we can do about it. Okay, so we went to the outdoor garden. So, in essence, if you wanted to do this quickly while still getting all the stuff, you would have had to have went to room 10, then went to room 5, and now we're going to have to go to room 3. So we're going to have to take this trip all the way around again. So we're at 6. We're at 7. It's 8. This is 9. 10. 11. 0. 1. 2. And finally 3. When it comes down to it, I really wish D perhaps could get a re-release. Just to kind of fix up some of the problems with the interface, like this puzzle, for example, where I have to constantly crank the switch instead of just being able to choose how much I want, like which way I want to go. Like directionally choosing also, like not just spinning in a circle, but being able to go left and right would be able to help out a lot. Just small minor tweaks like that. I'm sure I'm glad that this chest floated to us also. Could have been disastrous. Sweet, we get a gun. Mission accomplished, boys. We survival horror now. Like I said, we got an upgrade. We started with our sword, and now we have a gun. So, time to go shoot some people. We're basically Henry now from Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. So let's just jump and shoot everything. We're ready to take down a Dracula. Perhaps
Laura.
2 or 3 Draculas.
Laura. 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 Soon, I will be transformed. When that happens, my new self will have need of you. This other self is one I cannot control. It is he who has done these horrible things. Laura, leave here. He wants you.
That silent protagonist, though. Alright, so. Even though a sword isn't enough, I'm sure a gun is enough magic to be able to break through the stained glass, right? I'm pretty sure a gun killed Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings saga. I can't be bothered to look it up, though, so... The kickback on that thing. Alright. So, I believe that is the end of Disc 2. So let's go ahead and switch disc. Alright. So, you know what? I'm just gonna back out like a huge coward. Fuck. Can't back out now. Shutter's closed. The walls are closing in. Can't breathe. I can't breathe. Alright, maybe we can just turn around and start moving. I'll be alright. Just run away like a big, huge coward towards the darkness. Darkness, take me.
Laura.
Get ready for the
Laura.
ultimate swerve.
Laura. 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 Do not come to me. The one who I am to become needs blood for the change to be complete. You have seen what he will do, and it is your blood that he wants most. Laura, we are cursed. In our veins flows the blood of Dracula.
So, yeah. Yeah, this is a it's clearly a Castlevania game, right? Right? This is... I need to put in a petition to put Dino Shokutaku on cvspeedruns.com. Because it is clearly in canon. The swerve is pretty absurd in this game. But I mean, you know... I guess they had to take it somewhere, and Dracula's as good a place as any, I suppose. There we go. Okay, so this is a pretty notorious cog puzzle. You're basically trying to line up all of these things one with another, but each of the different levers does different things, which is pretty balls. It's not a terrible puzzle, but it can take a very long time to brute force it if all you're gonna do is brute force. Okay, well. So we're gonna try to reset its position. And based on how many you basically have on there, whether it's towards Laura or towards or away from her or anything like that, you can have different effects that happen. So, yeah. This is gonna take a while. Alright. Oh, what can we do here? Definitely should have saved before I did this. Oh man, we did it so fast. That clearly wasn't just guessing and hoping that it all went well after I screwed up the predetermined one. Still, that was a pretty fast puzzle, I think.
Now I will tell you everything. Hear me and leave before the one who is not me can emerge. Laura, in our veins flows the blood of Dracula. The time of change comes to all of his blood. It starts with lust for the strange. Then comes the desire for human flesh.
Oh man, fetishes, then human flesh.
Yes, Laura. That time came for you as well. I erased the memory, so you have forgotten. When Dracula took control of you, with those very hands you killed your mother. It is our fate to be accursed. And now you know you must leave. I feel myself changing.
Those are the sounds of vampire changing, boys. Dude turning vampire. Is this what vampirism on the flesh feels like?
Flesh, Laura. Listen to what I say. It is your flesh that I need, just as you needed your mother's. Come to me!
Oh man. The decisions. But I think we're just gonna go full Alucard. Fuck you, Dad! I got a gun. Henry, bless me! Steady my aim!
Laura, you've ended it. Thank you. A little more, and the change would have been complete. Perhaps, as a doctor, I wanted to see how the transformation would affect me. But that was wrong.
That was fucking stupid.
And now, I will end my life as a man of flesh and blood. Laura, thank you. I love you. My last wish is that...
So it is noteworthy that there is actually another ending where you do join good old Richter as turning into a Dracula. Yes, his name is Richter. Yes, I'm aware of the absurdity of it. But the other ending you can get by walking towards him. There's also an incentive to get all of the memories, which I believe I missed one memory, so I won't get the extra. But the extra ending is nothing really, it's just basically a bunch of photos of the staff. So, if you want to get that, feel free to check out D and play it through. That is it. So Kenji Eno, who was basically the director of this game and a few other ones, had some really interesting games during his tenure inside of basically game design. Some of his other games include Enemy Zero, D2, which is not exactly a sequel to this game in any stretch of the imagination, and I believe he had one more. But those are probably his most famous games. Really interesting and different takes on the genres that they do cover. Warp Games itself was a fairly short-lived company, but, they produced some pretty intriguing stuff when they were around, so I mean that's all you can really hope for as a company, is to have games that can really inspire others into getting into game design or push the medium to different limits. Create memorable experiences. And when you're a woman that shoots a single-shot revolver twice somehow to kill her father, who is named Richter, that has the blood of Dracula, after you killed your mother when Dracula tried to take over your body, you have definitely made a unique experience. There's our completion marker. Showing us, oh man, you only got 2 bugs, but I don't really care, because I've already done the 4, and that'll encourage you guys to play it if you choose to. There are things that have yet to be seen, you may want to try again. That's basically just saying to find those, but you really don't get much of anything, except for some pictures, so we're not going to do that. So yeah, that was D no Shokutaku, or D no Shokutaku, also just called D. And yeah, so really interesting game, very unique for the time, and really no other games exactly like it. The closest things that I could say would again be something like a kind of on rails point and click adventure through PC, but as far as like a PlayStation style of game, this was still extremely new. Strong atmosphere, even if the graphics have not aged well at all, including the frame rate. The real killer for this game that makes me not think it is kind of an instant classic really is the interface. Or I shouldn't say the interface. The interface is actually really nice, very clean, very simple. But the interaction between objects and moving your character through this environment is very cumbersome at times. As you can see, the disc 2, where we had to do the rotating chamber, was a big problem. The button pressing puzzle, while we found out eventually, it's a very unintuitive way to back out of the puzzle, which is a problem. And then the night puzzle, where you have to do the QTEs. While it was very innovative at the time, its implementation, given that there is quite a bit of input delay due to poor frame rate and variety of other things, it makes that sequence much more difficult than it needs to be. Luckily, there is no real punishment for failing, other than you're going to have to climb back up the ladder and go through it all over again. So, I mean, I guess what it really comes down to, it's probably about a 3 out of 5 game. As I mentioned, the twist is the big thing in the game, but again, like anything else, you might revisit D, once a year, once every couple of years, just to pop it in like a movie and play it through one more time. That's going to do it for this section of the October Marathon, though. Join in at a later time, where our next scheduled games, at least, include Onimusha 2, which I'll be playing through for the first time with no real background to it at all, other than having played the first game. We'll also be having Dead Space with a co-host of Blacktastic, who's going to be playing the game, and I'll be kind of commentating on the side. On Friday, we're hoping to have Bioshock with a real-life friend, Beef King, playing, and I'll be co-hosting that as well. So feel free to check that out, guys, if that is interesting to you. But for now, we are out of here. Later.